Welcome to Linux Saloon, a place to discuss tech, open source, and where Linux is always on tap. Each show we have a talk about Linux projects, such as a distribution, desktop environment, or application. We also chat about the environment, chat about the news or any variety of topics from the community. I think Linux tech and open source related is on the table for discussion. I'm Nate, a Linux fitness and vintage tech enthusiast with an almost unhealthy obsession with the OpenSUSE project. And with me today, I've got quite the panel of people to talk Odyssey Linux. We got Ben and Ben. So it's like Ben squared. Then we have Dale, Eric, full scale for me, Jinda, and a Mike squared. Mike Chilson and yeah, full scale for me. Yeah, well, and War Thunder. War Thunder's there, right there, sitting at the very end of the window. I'm trying to share my entire screen now. Pardon me while I didn't prepare properly. Let's see if this comes up. There we go. Now we're good. Very, it's gonna be one of those days, I think. Evenings. You know how that goes. When all of a sudden Pipewire decides it's not going to do the Pipewire thing, haven't had that be a problem for a while. A reboot to sort of fix that, but I don't know what's going on here. I didn't even shut the thing off from the early edition. Just left it. Didn't do anything. Weird. All right. Well, if you'd be so kind as to hit that like button, or possibly subscribe, or better yet, join here on the Discord voice chat. Voice. There's something else it's called. What is it? Voice something. What do we call that? Yeah, voice chat. And then we also have you can join our Telegram or Discord groups throughout the week. We keep the conversation rolling there. Also, be sure to do the StrawPoll, cubiclate.com/polls, and tell us what you think of Void Linux. So, anyway. So, let's see. Yeah, I did a straw poll on Doctor today. We're talking about Void Linux, not Void Linux, Odyssey Linux. Into the void, I suppose. And then we're going to any filler in there if necessary. And after that, we'll see what happens. The end of the show. Do some housekeeping in there as well. So, but first, what have you been doing in Linux and tech? So, what is your idea? Sure, that'd be great. That would be fantastic. Okay, so first would be Linux and tech. I was going through and something popped up on my Scamazon feed, and it looked interesting, and so I'm kind of been playing with I've kind of been trying to find another netbook size and style device, and so this popped in, and I automatically don't recommend it, but it's kind of cool. It's like a little computer tablet-y thing, and then you can do whatever with that, and it actually works pretty well. Except it doesn't have sense for its rotation. I did have Windows on there, but I didn't like it. I saved the key in case I decide to put it back, but it's kind of the size like an 8-inch size tablet, and as far as like power and everything goes, is fine. The stylus actually works, but for whatever reason I can't get the on-screen keyboard to pop up. Has anybody experienced? I was actually going to ask Dale that. Have you ever experienced where the on-screen keyboard doesn't pop up? You installed everything. It is. Actually, the whole virtual keyboard thing, I had to manually start it because it wasn't showing up in the system settings. And I verified all the packages from one machine to another where it's working and then not working. Still wasn't working. So it's very frustrating. But anyway, I'll get it figured out. It's kind of, the keyboard is a little bit too crammed for me with my big sausage fingers. It doesn't, instead of a touchpad, it's got like a little kind of a combination of a touchpad and the track point. It's like if these two could combine their worst features, this would be it right here. Like what do you dislike about the track point? It's too small. It's hard to control. what do you dislike about touchpads? It doesn't listen to your input, whatever. So it's kind of like the worst of both worlds. So that's a positive as well. I do regret buying this, I think. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, have you ever made a hardware purchase like that you terribly regret? But oh shoot, I messed up. There we go. Thank you, Slurminative. Go ahead and say the last part again. Man, I'm really batting 0 on this one. Go ahead and say that again.
Oh
as far
no.
as the you have a thing for little PCs.
I do. My wife would call it a problem because I've always gone around. I mean, I've had netbooks pretty much since, what was it? I think my father bought us the Acer netbooks when those first became the hotness that was out with Windows XP.
Yes.
Those the single core Intel Atoms that we dealt with 1 gigabyte of RAM. I always liked those things because they were tiny, compact. Like, I know we've got smartphones today, but I've always thought it was fascinating to get something like you were showing, where it's a tiny computer and you can do so many things with it, even though, yeah, I can pull my mic back a little bit. It's just one of those things where I just like seeing tiny compact computers that still have you can still do a lot with them beyond just, having them be a paperweight or whatnot. I'm sure that those GPD wins are absolutely terrible, or like the cramped keyboards like that are absolutely horrid. I would still buy one and be completely fascinated with it.
Yeah.
Has anyone ever taken a Amazon Fire and reloaded Linux on it? They make 7, 8, and 10-inch models that have been out there for years that are probably on the surplus market now.
You know, like
I
a
haven't
Lineage OS
done.
Android or an actual straight Linux?
I think they're Android, ARM, but who knows what version of Linux is under the Fire OS.
Yeah, I haven't done the Fire tablets. I do. I think it's dead again. The Nexus 7, if any of you remember the Nexus 7 tablet, you could actually install, I think it was Ubuntu 14.04 full fat desktop on the Nexus 7 tablet. It ran awful, and it killed my first Nexus 7. But it was just cool that I could do that.
The Black Friday version, Acer had a 9-inch netbook with 30 gigs soldered in SSD and RAM also. It was very small. We were retail, it was $80, so who knows what they go for used now.
Might be able to get for a song. Maybe just hold your hand out at this point. One of those.
Yeah, I don't know of another tablet that you could install full fat Linux on like that. At least that I've come across over the years. The fatal flaw with the Nexus 7 was that so they kept their cache in a separate partition, and which is where I believe it also stored information about like boot parameters and like other important details that should probably not be stored on the SSD. And essentially the cache would fill up and then the device would fail to boot, and then it would forget, like, you wouldn't even be able to boot the device anymore in many cases, because it would go to boot and it would get an input output error because the partition's full. So the last one I had, you just had to every so often hook it up to a PC and format the entire tablet and reinstall Android as a
Nice.
solution.
That's awesome. That's so that's one of the funny things about like tech over the years, was just having these weird pieces of tech, kind of in the early stages of like tablets or whatever, and it's like they didn't really fully test them out, make sure they actually work for longer than a day. Something almost charming about that time. It wasn't that long ago.
Yeah, and a lot of those older tablets were just, the custom Android ROM scene was just wild for those. Like, I came in at the very end of that. I bought that original Nexus tablet. I believe I paid like $15 for it, and that was probably the most fun I ever had with a tablet. I bought a second one for $7 at a thrift store. It was just the most fun you could have because you could flash it. I believe the last support was like KitKat. It was like 4.4. And you could put Android 5 on it, but you bricked half the device in the process.
Nice.
But it was funny to get Android that wasn't supposed to be on there, because like it was just like, oh well, this is just crazy that you could get all this stuff on here. Like Lineage OS supported it, I think, through the end of Android 5. Just stuff you just didn't expect, or probably the dumbest thing. Now, I never got to witness this myself. That same Aspire 1 netbook, when it first came out, see, when my father bought ours, he immediately reinstalled XP on it. But if you bought the first gen, they dual booted it with Android x86.
That's pretty wild. I didn't know that.
I don't know why, but it was an option where you could just have Android on a netbook. I'm sure it was awful back then, but
it may have been okay. I mean, there was for a while there, it seemed like there was a lot of x86 Android things at that time too, between like tablets and whatever. So it may have been okay, I don't know.
yeah, I don't know. I only ever used XP on mine, and we even back then stripped it back pretty far. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was surprised what you could do on a little Intel Atom back then, especially if you were willing to deal with the small screen. It would play 90s games pretty well. So, I mean, you could load up the likes of Duke Nukem and maybe some Light Quake. And I used to play a lot of back then, the demo to Starfleet Academy and a few other games. I mean, because to a 90s computer, that netbook was probably a rocket ship.
Oh yeah, absolutely it was. Yeah, I didn't play any like any of that sort of gaming with it. Like I didn't do 90s games, but I did do like a SNES emulator, SNES emulator. That worked out pretty well.
Yeah, they did okay with some pretty light emulation. I mean, I used mine up until, oh gosh, I know I put Windows 7 on it when Windows 7 came out. I think I used it up until like 2014. Unfortunately, my original netbook met an unfortunate end. A lady walking by while I was on campus going to college got her high heel caught in the cord. And as she stood up and walked away, it grabbed the cord and it literally bent the power plug at a 45-degree angle and broke the circuit board.
Wow.
I was impressed the computer was still running because it threw it across the room. But then, like, my options to charge the battery. So this is actually the one fun thing I'll mention. Then I'll get off the high horse. My brother's netbook, the motherboard died, except the charge controller worked. So you could put a battery in it and plug it in, and it would charge the battery. It's just the computer wouldn't boot. Well, when my board got destroyed and I couldn't charge my battery anymore, what I started doing was I would carry 2 netbooks with me. One would
That's
charge the
dedication.
battery, and then I'd plug the battery into the other one, and I would use it for taking notes and such. And when it got low, I would just shut Windows down, close the lid, and then move over to the charging laptop and take the battery out and swap it over. It would have
Nice.
been more sense to actually like replace the device, but that's where we were at that time.
See, I wonder if you could have actually probably. I mean, if it was just the. I mean, how? I guess the part on the board that broke, was it just the area where the barrel jack connected into the board, or was it?
It did damage the actual green PCB, if I remember correctly. But okay, these days I could probably take a soldering iron and like probably massage it over and whatnot. Just back then I just didn't have those kind of skills to fix it. But the jank solution worked pretty well for a few months until the board eventually did give up on that one too. But it was great for school because college desks are pretty narrow, so that thing just kind of would sit right there and you could just type up notes and whatnot. Did pretty well.
Yeah. That's neat. That's fun. Anybody else here have a small form factor, like netbook style PC, or something they regretted purchasing? Dale has to have regretted purchasing something as he looks around his laboratory.
I remember getting an early Android tablet. I want to say it was like an Asus maybe or something, and it was just woefully underpowered and an absolutely like miserable piece of hardware to use. And I think I kept it for maybe like 3 or 4 months and was just so disgusted by it because I would try to travel with it and the battery life was awful. It really couldn't do very much because Android, and this was way back, so I can't even imagine what version it was. But yeah, it's kind of hard to believe that it's been that long, but it still stands out as being just an utterly useless, many hundreds of dollars piece of equipment. It was just a complete and total disappointment.
Wait, who made it?
I think it was an Asus. And it was 2 pieces. So it was the tablet side of it, and then there was a optional keyboard that was another $100-some that
Was that a
had a
transformer?
battery in it as well.
Was it called like the transformer or something like that? And
Maybe.
they like
I don't know.
docked together. It's like something like magnetically held or
It
something
was
like that.
it was in that era when everything was rose gold.
Oh, okay.
I mean, like it was, and yeah, it was. I mean, they went together as a clamshell. So basically, it was almost like an ultralight laptop, and that's kind of what I was hoping for, was that it would, be something that would be of that ilk, like just very lightweight. I could just check email and write papers and just light stuff. And yeah, it was just, the keyboard sucked. Everything about it was just trash, and I was so disappointed. So I remember doing research and people saying that it was good, and then I totally felt like that's why I kept it for so long, because I thought, well, maybe I'm just holding it wrong or doing something wrong, and no, it was just a miserable failure. So otherwise, I mean, I've stuck with Dell for most of my laptops. I just have never had any complaints with that, and desktops have always built my own. So, I mean, they've always been what I wanted. And certain phones, I mean, I can think of like when phones used to be differentiated. I mean, I pretty much feel like every smartphone is the same thing now, for the most part, and sort of like feature parity and all that kind of stuff, performance and all that. But back in the day when there was a lot of variability in form factor and power and all that sort of stuff, there'd be ones that were, you know, I don't know, lackluster. But that was also when you'd get a new phone every 2 years, you know, provided by like Verizon or whoever you had. So, yeah, I think that's probably it.
Yeah. Well, there was somebody I knew that had I want to say it was called a transformer or something like that, but I saw them at Best Buy.
I'll see if I can find it. Yeah, it was. I don't think it was. It might have been Best Buy, but it was. Yeah. I'll see if I can find it.
All right. What?
Oh, I think it was the EE pad transformer.
Is that
I think I found it.
Is that what it's called? Is that what you had?
Yeah, it was 2011. See if I can find pictures of it. Yeah, that was it. It was trash. 2011, and I'll see if I can figure out the original MSRP. That was the part that sucked. Was that it wasn't just like junk. It was money. It had a little touchpad. Yeah, I mean, it was just it looked like a cool thing. Only had a gig of RAM, and at the time that wasn't that unusual. But yeah, I think I spent, the machine itself was close to 500, somewhere in that range, and then the keyboard was like another 125 or so, something like that. So all in, I was close to, like, with tax, like 700 range. And yeah, I knew it was expensive for what it was, but I was also traveling constantly, and I just kind of thought, you know, for like an airplane, the size of it would be perfect. And yeah, just
didn't work out.
Utter failure. So there you go. 15 years ago, live and learn.
Yeah, I kind of missed that era of when everyone was trying different things, and some of them were like wins, some of them were just not wins. I think we're having a little bit of that in the cell phone space. I know you said that most of them are pretty much the same, but now you have like Motorola doing like the flip phones or the folds or whatever. Again, different things like that. Seems like they're playing out with form factors again. But
I purchased a Asus laptop for one of my sisters for her birthday, and it was one of those first under $500 laptops, and I'll tell you why it was under $500. Other than being 100% plastic, you could not upgrade or change out the RAM. It was soldered to the board, and the hard drive could not be removed.
How much storage was there?
I think it was 120 gig. And it was running like Windows 8, I think.
Sounds like the HP 360 that when they came out purple, yellow, pink, and blue.
Yeah.
You wouldn't believe how many women bought the pink and the purple ones. They 128 gig SSD and everything soldered in.
Yeah, HP is pretty famous for doing that kind of stuff too, where I've had a lot of family members do that, where they buy the one that looks good, and that is the single redeeming quality of the entire machine. So
most people don't realize that all brands have a consumer race to the bottom with the price
right
option, and then they have the business grade. They look at the business grade, they see the 4-digit price, and they go,
yeah, but they also don't. I mean, again, I guess Windows, you kind of think, maybe you're going to keep that computer for what, 3 years, 4 years at the most. And that price, you know. But we as Linux users, I look at a laptop and I think, you know, I could have that thing for a decade. So yeah, it's worth. And I'm not going to buy anything new anymore. I don't really see a reason for it, quite honestly. But so I'm happy to get something that was, you know, 4 digits, knowing that it's gonna last. But yeah, I agree with you, because HP is the same way. I loathe HP's consumer grade products. I mean, maybe they've gotten better, but man, they have just been, for the pieces that I've seen, for, you know, relatives and whatever, like, just awful. The materials they use are awful. The keyboards, the touchpad, like, everything about them are just bottom of the barrel components. And trying to do any kind of upgrades on them, their bodies are all plastic tabs and clips, and so you try to gently pull them apart, and they just, like, literally fall to pieces. And, like, I don't know if this thing's going to go back together or not. But,
Yeah, it seems
yeah.
like after about 2010, 2012, their stuff just went off a cliff. I don't know what happened to their consumer line, because their consumer stuff used to be halfway decent, you know.
Oh yeah, no, early 2000s, definitely. Yeah, HP
Yeah.
was great. Yeah.
But yeah,
That's when Compaq was still making it.
right.
Mm.
That's true.
Yeah, and ThinkPads were IBM.
What-
HP made the business grade and Compaq made the consumer grade.
Okay.
Let me ask you guys something. What was the Celeron replacement for the I series of processors from Intel? What was that thing called? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I thought Celeron is still their low end thing.
I think they call them like the N100 or N200.
Yeah, that's right.
These
That's
days,
right.
yeah.
That's what that laptop had in it. And man, it was just terrible. I mean, it only had like 4 gig of RAM, 120 gig hard drive. And it would take Windows, I don't know, a minute and a half to boot up.
When was this, Mike?
Oh gosh, had to be 2015, 2016, somewhere around there.
They have apparently they have an N series chip now I think it's an N 100, 100, 200, somewhere in that range. And my friend Bill that I do podcasts with, he has, I cannot think of the name. It's just some Chinese name, you know, made up company name, whatever, made up brand name. And they're very inexpensive, and he has the one with the upgraded, and it's like an N200 or something like that. And he says it's actually, for what it is, as cheap as it is, and we're talking like $100-$200 range, that it's actually a pretty decent machine.
Yeah, I've got one of those little minis, the little small, tiny brick. And it's got an N200 in it. And it's like, I want to say 4 cores. And I'm using it as a dev server, and it works great,
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll see if I can find the brand, because he loves them. He has like 4 of them.
Yeah, I was looking for mine
cheap.
too. So I had talked to Nate about this at one time.
Which part?
About the little small mini computer.
These are laptops. So,
yeah.
Anyway, I'll see if I can find the brand name, because he keeps telling me to get one just to have or my daughter might want one for school or something. So.
Yeah, Nate, that's the piece of shit we used to sell.
Yeah.
I so often loved when somebody said, "Oh, you got it for $279. I saw Walmart had it for $249. I'm going there to buy it." I'd be like, "Thank you God," because one less Windows 10 is slow as hell complaint coming back.
So those
2 weeks later.
I guess I can put it in the chat, or actually I can just put it over here. This is one of the like, I don't know why, and I'm going to say I probably have lost my mind, but I like, it's what $35, but I like these little stupid HP streams. I know they're garbage. I've used them. They are garbage. There's nothing. The only redeemable quality is just their appearance, I think, and they kind of have this like I wouldn't say rugged or tough at any level, but there's something, I don't know. Maybe War Thunder understands, but there's something almost like charming about these
I
machines.
do. I actually have a Lenovo that's 4 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of eMMC that I use. I use it like a Chromebook at my bedside, but it's like late at night. I'm just wanting to, look some stuff up or just, browse the internet or, read some blogs or whatever. And it does okay for that. But I actually got to use one of these HP Streams. They make one that's like an HP Stream Pro. That's like like an even more education model.
There's nothing pro.
It's still garbage. It's not pro in any way. I don't know why they call it pro, but I bring it up because my sister-in-law, who's a piece of work, had one of these, and
Careful, she might be watching.
she had that. She's definitely not watching, and if she is, I don't care. Out of this, I don't do IT for her anymore. So the long story short is she was using this thing for school. And I'm like, I don't know how somebody could use like a 4 gigabyte of RAM, Celeron, and like 128 gig machine for school. But sure, she was using it for school. Her daughter had borrowed it. And at some point, while the daughter was using it, it stopped working. So while I was over, she was like, hey, could you look at my laptop? It won't boot. It's having some kind of issue. And I was like, okay. So first we had to track the charger down because, of course, she doesn't have it and the battery's dead. We plug it in. And the first thing it boots up and says is input output error, hard drive not detected. And I'm like, these HP Streams don't have removable storage, do they?
I don't think so.
Nope.
So what had happened while the daughter was watching YouTube is the eMMC, which was probably sitting there running on swap while Google Chrome was running, killed the SSD, and then the system crashed. And now she doesn't have a hard drive. So, I mean, I offered, I said, do you want me to recycle it for you or do you want to take it and whatnot? She was mad that I couldn't fix the computer. And I told her, what do you want me to fix? There's nothing to replace. The closest thing I could do is get a hot soldering station, and that's not even worth it. But there's really nothing to replace on these things. So there's no fix. It's throw it in the dumpster and whatnot. I took it home and got a 120 gigabyte flash drive from Walmart, and then installed Arch Linux to the USB flash drive as the hard drive. It ran really hot, so you'd burn your hand touching it. But for like a week or so, I ran Arch Linux. I think I ran Arch with i3 on that thing. And it ran okay. Then the computer stopped turning on, so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. I'm going to guess the hard drive failure was premature of the board hasta la vista-ing itself shortly afterwards.
We used to call them e-waste with a warranty.
Yeah, they pretty much are. If you have any technical knowledge at all, you're much better off buying a used business laptop. Just in general, if you can. And you can still find them. I mean, even I was on a vacation somewhat recently and got an HP ZBook. If you get into HP ZBook, EliteBook, or ProBooks, they are a lot better than their consumer grade counterparts. And like, I got a ZBook with an 11th gen i7, 16 gigs of RAM, and a 500 gig SSD for like $200. And this one had a few nasty bites on it from whoever had it before, but like, it runs pretty snappy, even when it had Windows on it.
And how big is it?
That one is a 14-inch.
Okay.
It was, it had Thunderbolt ports. It's got a fingerprint reader, which works in Linux out of the box. It's got a chunk of the screen missing, but not like the LCD, but like the back panel. So it's like somebody dropped it on the corner and it knocked the aluminum or the plastic off of the back of the screen off. But like none of the electronics are exposed. So I haven't decided if I'm going to get some like plastic Bondo and like fill that in yet. But I mean, that was at what is it? Goodwill has their like electronics group that they take a lot of machines that they get in and they refurbish them and whatnot. So sometimes you can get a deal through them. I forget what it's called. I'll have to go find the link to it later. But
Here's a Steve's very own says my wife's Asus E200H is a 32 gig eMMC, 4 gigabytes of RAM, Atom processor, 64-bit, but it's 32-bit EFI. Those are a big pain in the butt. So I think there are like 3 distributions I know of that can handle that. I think it's like Fedora, OpenSUSE, and MX Linux. Basically, selling Linux was a chore. I wonder when that was. But it looks like I don't know if they do this anymore, but it looks like Dell's got these Celeron, these little Celeron guys here. I mean, I'm not gonna spend $150 on it, or it's a lot of 5. Either way, I can spend $150 on it. But there's something about like this. This is like as close to a netbook as I think that you can buy right now. I think those are. I don't know. I just think they're cool. I think it's kind of like one of those ideas. It's more fun to drive a slow car fast than a fast car slow.
very true. Well, I like the 2-in-1 form factor better than tablets because most tablets have terrible keyboards. Even though I like my Latitude tablet that I have, don't use it on your lap unless you just don't like your knees, because the kickstand will just slice your knees open. But that's a typical thing of those kickstands. They don't work well. I like this 7390 I have. That's a 2-in-1. You can treat it like a laptop, and then when you want to use the touchscreen, you can. Although I gave up trying to make Linux auto-detect the pop-up keyboard a long time ago, Nate. I just add the app widget, whether I'm on KDE or Cinnamon, I just add the app widget on the taskbar. So I could just pop it open. I gave up a long time ago trying to get it to auto-detect. I wish it was better.
Hey, Eric. Don't you have a 2-in-1 thing?
Do I have the? I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I have
okay.
a
It's completely
Latitude. Yeah.
How often do you use it as a not laptop?
Never. I mean, literally 5% of the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
That,
And it's not because
like,
it's
is
terrible.
2-in-1 really the right answer? This is like 0.5-in-1. Like, so don't use it that often.
It's actually not. Believe it or not, like you can. So GNOME, I think, is probably still the best for just general tablet use, but Plasma's gotten better, especially the new keyboard and the 6.6. So I mean, it is, and it does like it when you pull the tablet off. Plasma's smart enough to make the taskbars taller, or the window borders taller and stuff like that. Right. So it is usable. Anyway, it's really, to be honest with you, the tablet I have is so good with like the Samsung Galaxy Tab is just so good with HDR, with audio, with Dolby Atmos. It's got like everything you could want. It's literally the best media device I have in the house. So that's why I always end up using it, because it's like, why wouldn't I use that when I have it? But this is what I take, and I'm using it right now, but it's what I take when I travel, or if I, because it can be, and it is, I've been using it mostly as just a normal laptop, because it's plenty powerful enough and all that. But it is easy enough to just pull it apart and use it as a screen. And I have watched, movies and stuff on it. So it's really is effective as a tablet. It's just more or less because I have a better alternate device.
Right. Okay, yeah, because that was always the thing is I've owned, I want to say one laptop that was like a 2-in-1, and it was like a 16-inch laptop, so I was like, why? But
yeah,
I was like, I'm not gonna hold that as a tablet. Like, it's neat, but like, that's about it. And honestly, I'd rather have a more rigid hinge than 361. But
well, I mean, so the Latitude 5290, the one I have, it's a 12.3 inch screen, and it's of that like more square. It's that 6x10.
Mm-hmm.
Or yeah, and 16 by 10, sorry. And it's got the kickstand. I mean, it's basically a ripoff Microsoft
Like
Surface Pro.
Yeah.
I mean, it's pretty shameless in terms of like the kickstand is exactly the same and all of that. So it's in terms of being like that form factor, it's the best of like a tablet PC you can imagine, because I think a lot of people really love Surface Pros for a reason, you know, because they're durable and the screen size and all that stuff. So it's a great device. And because it's Dell and it's not Microsoft, you can run a normal version of Linux, and you can upgrade it easily with just taking screws out instead of like peeling glue apart and all that. So yeah, and I've been super happy considering I paid $140 for it, I think.
Right.
So
yeah, I was just curious because like the 2-in-1 thing for me never really resonated, and the 2-in-1 device I have is an iPad Pro, which I would argue is a better tablet than a computer generally is, and much in the same way your Samsung Tab is a better tablet. But like the computer things I would do on it, I don't know. They like it's sort of, again, we go back to the ratio, right? Like if I have a laptop that happens to be a 2-in-1, I'm almost never going to use it as a tablet. But I have a tablet that I use far less as a laptop as well.
Yeah. Just like I can use a Bluetooth tablet and a mouse with the Samsung Galaxy Tab, and really, so that brings you to the software, and to me, because they really kneecapped DeX. It's not anything like it used to be. You have to hook up an external monitor for it to work the way it used to.
And your software thing is totally right. Yeah. Because
that's the same thing with the iPad Pro, right?
My iPad Pro. Like it's an M4. It's more than enough power. Like it's just iPad OS. Yeah.
If you had full iOS on it or full Mac OS on it.
Full Mac OS? Oh yeah, that'd be a spectacular device.
Right.
Like, you know how great that would run Emacs?
Golly.
Wow, yeah. Emacs great on it. That'd be, what more would you need?
Exactly. That's the OS I need. The only OS I need.
Probably do some local vibe coding in Emacs, and yeah, you'd be all set.
I do have an org plan for it, so it is pretty nice. But but yeah, it is that, like the devices we have now are so powerful that, at least like newer ones, right? Like ARM stuff and all that. Yeah. It's same with your phone, right? It's like the only limitation is just the software. Like most people's phones are more powerful than half of the machines we've been talking about with Celerons and whatnot.
Yeah, it's true.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't really feel that, not like I used to whenever phones had, less than a gig of memory, or, where it was always.
When being dual core was a special thing.
Yeah.
I mean, now they're just so powerful. At what point do you really decide you need a new phone if it isn't like camera? There's just, because even the screen technology is not radically different between devices anymore. So
I got a new phone when it folded.
There you go.
Yeah. So when the digitizer starts to go crazy, like when you touch it and all of a sudden the device wigs out, that's when it's time.
Well, that's when I make an appointment to check for Parkinson's, and then when I get the no from that, I'm like, all right, new phone.
Yeah.
So I was gonna say, I want to give you a thought on that, Adam. Like I have a Surface, and I put plasma on it with Tumbleweed, and I would say I use it.
Is it Formica tile?
Well, yeah. Well, Surface.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad Mike got that.
I use it as a mixture of tablet and laptop. But when I use it as a tablet, so what I like is I can use it as a laptop real quick. But then, like when I'm walking around, let's just say the plant, I need to do like some checks or whatever, on like go do a thing, essentially bring a dongle if I got to plug into a switch or whatever. Then I use it for tablet for part of it. But then as soon as I want to go to actually like interact with the switch directly, then I go back to laptop, and so it's kind of convenient. But then when I'm actually
Mhm.
sitting there, then I have to hold it all stupid because I have to hold like it's actually harder to do than a laptop when you're doing that mode. But I don't know. It's kind of a mix. It's a mixed bag of that. But you're right. Like a 2-in-1, like the removable keyboard versus the rigid one. You know, like what's really a better. What's really
Yeah,
better? I
and,
don't
and
know.
I would argue that the removable keyboard option is the superior option, just simply
Okay.
from the fact that, like, if I can remove the keyboard, then I remove the clunkiness of feeling a keyboard on the back and like those sorts of things, right? Like, and it reduces the weight of the device significantly as well. And it feels like you can then enjoy it as a tablet rather than like as a laptop that I'm glad the hinge actually bends and I didn't break it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a case on the Galaxy Tab just because it's too good of a device to drop it and break it, you know. But
Right.
having that case on means that you're adding an extra 6, 7, 8 ounces, whatever it is, and it is the difference between that thing being very comfortable to hold and being just heavy enough that you notice it.
Right.
So,
That it's
so
fatiguing
yeah,
after a bit, yeah.
yeah, exactly. But the plus of the case is that you can prop it up, so it's sort of a evens itself out. But yeah, that when you think of like, oh well, how much difference can half a pound make? Like it actually does make a difference. So
This 17-inch Dell will break your wrist if you try to hold it with one hand.
Dang.
the old
Yeah.
wheel chalk kind,
Yeah.
full size fans.
Do y'all remember the HP ProBook 4530S? Anybody? Those old things?
Oh, I got one of those big chunguses.
You do, War Thunder, huh?
I think mine's a slightly different model than that one. Like I think mine's a 3rd gen i7, but those
Yeah.
things are like absolute tanks. Like I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure if your house was ever invaded, that you would just, assuming you didn't, break your own wrist, you would just throw this laptop at the intruder and it would just take them right out. Like you just wouldn't have to worry about it.
Like a tough book.
I would travel, and because I like to game still, or I wanted a capable device with me, I would take gaming laptops, and I would get to where I was going and having a meeting in the conference room or something, and I'd pull out this huge 17-inch like monstrosity
Laptop.
with the power brick that was like, and people would look at me like, "What the hell is that thing?"
I know, right?
Like,
I
even a
mean,
gamer?
It's a portable
I guess.
computer.
Yeah. A lot of gaming laptops these days, I think they still have that monstrous power brick, don't they?
I have a modern gaming laptop.
Yeah,
And it is
I get you, Adam.
it is only slightly thicker than my MacBook Pro.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
So it's
I can
really
imagine
not, they're not chunks like they used to be.
Yeah. Well, the
Right.
thermal solutions, I mean, that stuff used to be running, full fat processors and
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
and GPUs and
Yeah.
stuff, and it was like, how do you cool that thing?
I
Well, you
know, it's
don't.
insane.
It throttles.
Yeah, that's the answer. You don't. You pretend
Yeah,
like
you
you
don't.
do.
It's also weird. Like I know a lot of gaming laptops, like you said, Adam, have a lot thinner brick. At work, I still run a Dell Precision mobile workstation for doing a lot of engineering stuff and
It has that 230
stress
watt.
analysis and stuff.
Yeah.
It has a 280 watt power brick
Yeah.
because 11th gen was right before Thunderbolt got really good. So not only do I plug in 2 Thunderbolt cables, but that's not actually full power. And so a lot of times I plug my laptop in and it says, "Oh, this isn't full power. I can't run at full power." And then it overheats the entire time because of thermal throttling and whatnot. Like it's not getting the right voltage. But every time you go into a meeting, I have to now bring this 280 watt chonker of a power brick and just lay it up on the table so I can have my meeting. Because my other option
There's
is
this guy again.
I get an hour of battery life. I think I got 2 when it was new.
I had it was a company commander in the army, and he had his laptop, it was a gaming laptop. Now, mind you, this is probably like 6-7 years ago now, and it had it looked like I mean, I didn't look at real closely to it and to examine it, but it had like two power supplies that were almost like they were just zip tied together, and then went into one connector on the machine. I swear it, because I didn't get like real close to it, but I swear it looked like an old DIN connector more than like a barrel jack. I could be wrong on that. I'm just maybe misremembering, but that was a hefty machine. I had to help him get his like smart card reader working on it, but I don't know why I didn't pay closer attention to it. But I just remember it being a formative piece of technology. Like,
Man, real talk, APs only ever sold gaming laptops and portable DVD players. That's all they ever sold on post.
it's right.
This is like,
Oh.
yeah, that's all they wanted. I need a gaming laptop, and I need a portable DVD player. I'm getting deployed. So
I wonder what they sell now.
I don't know.
No. Yeah. Who
iPad.
knows? Probably. I got a Kindle back in 2013 that I still use from one. Yeah.
And then of course the warranty of I got sand all in it.
I never actually bought a laptop from the Post Exchange.
Would have been a good choice. I mean, assuming they had the model you wanted, because no tax, right?
Right. Well, I always wanted a Dell Latitude. Is what I was like Eric.
Oh
like
yeah,
Dell
I'm not gonna
Latitude
sell
or
that.
yeah, or not or GTFO. But anyway,
And you need the tough book or whatever.
well, I just like because the Dells were always serviceable.
Gotta
Latitudes were.
put Linux on your Blue Force tracker.
Yeah, actually, they ran Red Hat.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah,
I never
they
actually
did.
looked into it.
Oh yeah, I know, because I had to work on those things. So yeah, they ran Red Hat underneath. That was pretty cool. Blue Force tracker. Yep. Good times. Well, speaking of good times, I don't know how we got so far off into the technology rabbit hole, but I guess that's Linux Saloon for you. And
Wasn't that a complaint last week?
I don't know. Did I complain?
No, I didn't. I think towards the end, someone had said that it was so like circuitous and off topic. Like, yeah, but isn't that the point?
So this is a Linux Saloon. When you've gone to a pub or saloon or whatever with your friends, did you strictly stay on the topic that you set out to talk about? No.
Oh, totally. Yep. Regimented. Okay, gentlemen, we have 10 more minutes about this, and yeah.
Yep.
No.
Waiters can't come by.
Do we have
until-
action items for this meeting?
I would lose all my friends. Last one.
Yeah, I would have walked out. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, like I'm not. You got to go. So let's we get to the straw poll here for Linux Saloon. It's about Odyssey Linux. If you've tried it or not, there's I'll put the link there in the doobly-doo again. We got a couple of comments. Slooner1 said, "Oh, thanks, Eris. I like that." Says, should they have a distro called Iliad? I think it's Iliad. So you have Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Was it Iliad? Iliad. Homer's Iliad and the Odyssey. Yeah. And Slooner2 said, I put OK in the poll because while I did simply what I wanted to do with Void, I basically had to dismantle all of the theming I got to get things the way I like. And this is Void. This is a Void issue. No package for ROCM OpenCL runtime, which you need for my photography. The latter was a deal breaker for me. Yeah, I think OpenCL is a deal breaker for a lot of people. I've never actually utilized it with anything, but I understand I understand the importance of that. All right, because like Wendy from Linux Out Loud, she's got to have her. She has to have her OpenCL, or she can't do whatever it is she wants to do. So if you haven't voted yet, now's the well, whatever. We're gonna go for it. All right. So which best describes your experience with Odyssey Linux? I did not have enough time in first place. Work, busy with life, etc. In second place was It's Okay. Tied for third is It's Amazing and Other. And then we have It's Good. And I did not have time did have a good time with it, and Tux Penguin with the last tied for 4th. So a little bit about Odyssey Linux. Let's go ahead and hop into this right away. So just like a real quick, I was hoping nobody would be here, but maybe couldn't make it. So, which is funny because nobody is the name of, it's kind of like the who's on first, what's on second thing. Nobody's going to be here. Hopefully nobody was going to be here, but nobody didn't show up. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying right now. Anyway, so real quick about the exploration. So the intent is to talk about the different aspects of the operating system and discuss our experience from using it. It's not a discussion. It's a discussion. We should be objective with it. So try and keep things to the facts, to the points. We're not going to just say disparaging things like it's garbage without saying what would make it better. So remember, this is labor of love for some, so let's not poo-poo on it. So Odyssey Linux is a relatively new rolling release distribution based on Void Linux. The main goal is to take the strength of Void and use run it instead of systemd. It's a clean and lightweight base and the XBPS package manager and make them much more approachable to everyday desktop use. It ships with a polished Calamares installer, a graphical control center for managing services, a firewall, app armor, and kernel settings, and a choice of several desktops and Wayland compositors, including LabWC, Neri, Hyperland, Plasma, and XFCE. So it also comes with performance-tuned kernel, strong defaults around security and privacy, signed packages, and no telemetry. And something on that telemetry in just a little bit, which I think is kind of cool. So, installation. I installed it 3 times. Or one of them was a failed attempt. But did anybody here have any issues with the installation process? Nothing? No? I see that Arch Penguin says not a fan of the default key bindings on the Hyperland version, but it's all configurable, right? You can all change it to whatever you want. Walt says I avoid any distro based on Void, so he definitely didn't try it. So, anybody tried to install any software? Use like the software installation tools on it?
Yep, I did.
Any problems with it?
No. It was, excuse me, fairly straightforward.
I actually kind of like the specific Odyssey tools they use for that as well. It felt very cohesive and tied in. What did you use for your desktop environment?
What's the real light one? Golly, I can't remember the name of it. What's the light desktop everyone uses?
XFCE?
Yeah, XFCE, that's it. Sorry. Old man moment.
Yeah, I like I was saying to Microsoft, XFCE has always been my go-to regardless of distro. I've tried different window managers like Hyperland and Neri with, not necessarily Neri, but Hyperland with different configurations like Jokulits and a couple of others, but never configuring it for myself because I get where people say that the Hyperland docs are good, but I'm like, what the F is this for me? Because I couldn't understand it worth a darn personally.
That's definitely a different type of desktop for sure.
I know, Mike, it really is. And, while I do admit, the Hyperland docs have been well written for somebody like me who hasn't much any window manager experience. It's like a freaking atlas for me. I'm like, what the? I'm sorry to say this, but this is not to troll nobody or anything, but the guy who wrote it must be on cloud 9 or something because, I don't get how he expects window manager noobs to understand the darn thing. You got to be like a freaking scientist or somebody who has, the reading comprehension of I don't know what to figure it out. I'm sorry, but that window manager is complicated as heck. Like I don't know. It's just it doesn't have the best documentation for a Wayland thing, in my opinion.
I think window managers are for people who have a specific paradigm ambition. Like they're for
Right.
people who want something specific for them. So I personally I don't like window managers like the stripped down window managers. They don't work for me. But it's kind of one of those things like, if somebody really likes them, I guess they understand it, it works for them and cool. I don't know, I guess I'm kind of sort of stuck in my ways, although actually the ages are all across the board on that one. So I don't even know if it's like a certain age range for that. It's not my thing. I can navigate it, but it just doesn't do it for me. So did anybody here play with?
That's kind of my mentality too, And honestly, I just, window managers for me just never have really been easy or worked out. I just stick to XFCE or something that's pre-configured. Leave it alone. So I just prefer easy. Leave it good enough.
Yeah, no, I get it. Did anybody play with any of the Odyssey Control Center tools?
A little bit.
So I thought they were kind of neat. And I'm sure there's others like this. Well, I didn't try the XFCE. I did KDE Plasma, and a very interesting dark theme. It took me a little bit to kind of get used to it. The buttons aren't really what I like by default. I mean, you can change that in Plasma, so it's not a big deal. But I really appreciated the consistency in the theme across the board. It kind of has a very, I don't know how to describe it, but it's it's all black with like black and mostly white, but you have like the buttons. So everything kind of has like a control center feel about it. Like I'm working on like on equipment, like on in a control room, which is kind of cool. But they have like a where you can set your boot options. So it uses grub, at least on this particular installation, but it has it shows you in your EFI the different things that boot in there, and you can manage that with a really nice little tool. And just the way it says what's current and default, like just how they present it, I really appreciated the user experience, the design of it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Let me ask you something about that.
Okay.
Could you look at that theme for 8 hours a day? You're muted.
It wouldn't bother me.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine because I run a dark theme anyway.
I came to a totally different idea on that. I mean, I had a great experience installing it. It's very snappy. I like it. It's fast. I cannot for the life of me imagine. I'm not trying to throw any shade, but that just does not seem like a very productive theme that they give you initially. I know why they did it, because that's their theme for their product.
Yep.
But now I've got to go in and change everything to be able to work on it on a day-to-day basis.
So they actually have a
Do
button.
they have a screenshot of the theme on the website or something? I obviously didn't install it, but like
It's exactly like the theme on the website. Yeah.
Yeah. It's,
okay.
Yeah. So if you go to they have a setting in here, and I saw it. So let's say if you don't like the theme, you can click a button, and then it'll go to like a default theme. You just have to log out and log back in. At least in Plasma, I can't speak for XFCE, but I see what you're saying. This is definitely built for a particular taste. I would say that is undeniable.
And what taste is that? Do you think?
Well, I mean, someone who likes a more Spartan, very almost brutalistically simple interface, I would say.
Okay. And don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to throw shade on this. It's just from someone who works 8 to 10 hours a day on a PC, my eyes would be burnt out by the end of the day looking at that.
Yeah, it's not my favorite font they're using. They're using like it's like kind of a monospace font for everything.
Right.
But it have a vanilla mode on it. So it says, I can't speak to XFCE on this, but they have for KDE themes, it resets the window decorations, color scheme, icons, and splash screen to stock breeze. So it requires logging out and back in again for full effect.
Yeah, there's a theme selector, that comes with XFCE.
Yeah, but I'm just saying they have it. I think they acknowledge the fact that it's probably not the taste for everybody, so you can put it to a more normal, I guess, setup. Yeah, they have the same thing for XFCE also. So like me personally, I don't like I can't speak to XFCE, but like for KDE Plasma, they have everything's black. They have like a white border, whichever one is activated. I don't particularly care for that. I mean, I understand it's a good way to know which is active. I don't particularly care for that, but it's fine. I would prefer this than something light mode.
Okay. I couldn't handle that red. That's just too much, in my opinion. But I tell you what, I like how fast it is. Everything's snappy. There were a couple of people that said they had thought it was slow, and I haven't seen that at all. And I'm just running it in a virtual with 2 cores and 8 gig of RAM. So
I would say the only real gripe I had was actually the Zen browser. Not because it's the Zen browser or the customization they made for it, but specifically there was no window. I couldn't interact with the window without using Plasma's built-in management of it, essentially. So I couldn't, like, there wasn't a maximize, minimize, close button, whatever, on the top of it. I had to do it through the Plasma window manager functions that exist for everything that goes in there. So don't know how XFCE would have done that, but that would have been my only real gripe, is not having the native window decoration on it, which, again, some people don't like having that. But the browser was fine, I thought. It's interesting how they configured it to run mostly in RAM for better performance. So it doesn't actually write anything to disk until you're done with it. So I can't present. I can't speak to how that would be with lots and lots and lots and lots of tabs. But anyway, that was interesting. Did you play with any of the other unique tools? So one of the tools that I really like in their Odyssey Control Center, this is one that I think won a lot of points for me specifically, is they have a telemetry thing. I should probably take the time to figure out what application this is. I don't know if it's
Yep.
I don't know what it's. I'm sure it's an application that you can just get. But what I think is really cool about it is you can have it everything that's connecting or talking to your machine, you can look at that like real time. Very cool. If you've not checked that out, that might be one of the neatest. That might be the neatest application on it that I think got me the most, I don't know, excited to see that that's something that's right on there. Because it's nice to know, like,
that is a neat app. I did play with it. Yes.
Okay. Does anybody else care about that? Like the telemetry.
I'll finish up my part and then somebody else can speak here. I just like to say that, again, I'm not throwing any shade. I think it's a unique distro. It's certainly not for everybody, I think. And it is what it is. And I wish them the best of luck on it.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely not for everybody. That's that's certain. Um, but I thought it very very interesting. I guess is what I'm getting at. I guess for me, and maybe I'm just not quite. Maybe I just don't get it. I guess let's go with that. But I don't fully understand what the okay. So all right. So I understand like there are a lot of their goals here, which is um, it's a performance oriented distribution for with like adjustments made to the kernel for I think gaming. So there's so it's not really alone in that space there, but also it uses like a hardened hardened features to it as well. So they have like a browser and RAM, Libre Wolf, and I think also Zen browser that you can run. The fact they have that telemetry stuff built right into it, also very interesting. Did I say the gaming mode? They have a gaming mode. So it enables gaming related tools optimizations. So for I guess Proton, for Proton it seemed to work out of the box better. Um, you can also check the firewall and app armor status very easily. So like all these different little security tools are just right there, right in the forefront. That I think is very cool. I think it's a very interesting combination. But what I don't understand is what is the unique selling feature of Void? Does anybody know that one?
I think people like that
Oh.
it doesn't have systemd, and that it's a source distribution, that it's their own packages. They're not a derivative. So I think those two things are probably the biggest draw.
Well, I read through the website and it was a little confusing for me. I kind of left with the same idea that I never really kind of figured out who they were trying to target exclusively. If anyone, they may not be targeting anyone, but
Well, themselves.
that's kind of what I left with. Yeah.
If you look at their, again, this is a very geeky project, 100%. Like this is, they're aimed at very technical people. You know, the website, when you click on features, it's a tree, like as if it's a, you know, a directory tree of a disk. And, you know, it has it as, you know, user experiences as a folder. And then under that, it's easy to install the different desktops, control center, EPS GUI, run it GUI, language design. So I mean, so they sort of very clearly point out the things that they've focused on, that they're calling out as the differentiating aspects, and they're all very like esoteric, and you know, you have to care about these features. So yeah.
Well, I mean, I totally forgot that it installed KDE. For the longest time, I thought I was running XFC until I opened up the system settings and realized it was, you know, KDE settings. And then I realized I was on KDE, and it's kind of interesting. I've never really played with a void-based distribution, so I've been kind of using it to learn that package manager, learn the init system, and just play around with it.
Yeah, I remember testing Void several years ago and being very compelled by it, by the simplicity, by it spoke to the like sysadmin in me in terms of just being a system that made sense to me. But I ran into some issues with not running systemd, just because there's so much software now that truly just assumes that if you're running Linux, there's going to be systemd present.
Yeah, that would be that's a good point. Like a lot of things require systemd, and although I don't like the idea of being so tied to a specific tool, you know, like I like the idea of the freedom and flexibility. But I find like from a sysadmin perspective, I prefer systemd like automating the way it does. Like, 'cause I mean, I did use a sysv init or sys5 init, whatever you want to call it, back in the day, and that was, I would say, aggravating, and I felt like systemd solved a lot of my problems. So when all this anger towards systemd, I just don't feel it. You know what I mean? And so to
I think
me,
it's still mainly is because it goes against the primary Unix philosophy of do one thing and do it well. It's like the ultimate feature creep, right? And that's why I think a lot of people now it's solved a lot of problems that modern Unix would have had because of that same philosophy. In terms of like some security things. I mean, there's a lot of things the systemd does to go beyond that simple philosophy, and I think on one hand, it has sort of modernized a lot of those approaches, and that's kind of what has made it easier and more straightforward to use Linux, I think, in many respects, in terms of like repeatability, desktop and enterprise applications and stuff like that. But ultimately, it does, at its heart, that is one of the major concerns, is that systemd already does so much more than like an init system ever did, right? It touches all these different areas. And like you said, I think a lot of people are loath to rely on one piece of software or one package or one project to be that sort of impactful and necessary to run.
I mean, I've been having fun playing with this. What I've been doing is I've been trying out the command, and there's something fun about playing with the command line in this distribution. I kind of got lost in it, but then I would go in and say like, okay, do they have like a GUI command center to play with this? And so at first I tried the software, the package manager, then I tried the init system, and did both through the command line and then through the GUI just to have a look see. And I've been enjoying playing with it, but there's no way I can get used to this. It's like systemd it just works. It just works. This is just kind of confusing.
so I think what's interesting, I was thinking a little side-by-side comparison here. So I guess run it is a lot, extremely low feature usage, while systemd is much higher. So I guess I could see that as being a benefit for specific use cases. But at the but it does have weak desktop integration and minimal security features. So I guess for there, in my mind, and again, I'm not the one. I'm not maintaining any of this or any of the interconnects between systemd or any of these init systems and applications. But I can see a use case for maybe having a more stripped down init feature if you're running it on a netbook or whatever, and that's something that's old. But I think for like a modern system, I want to have, unless the security features aren't any good in systemd, but I would argue that it probably is. So I don't know. I think the whole hot plug management stuff that systemd handles, is there something that does it just as good of a job that's not systemd? Or I don't know. And to me that's more important than
yeah. I think that systemd has, again, it solved a lot of the problems. One, I mean, the way that people were handling those types of things were somewhat different between distributions, and like you could say fragmented in a way, and it's hard to, I guess, be as definite and I don't know, complete about security practices whenever you might have different approaches to it. And I don't know, I just feel like people glommed on to systemd for a reason. Yes, there was a lot of political, bluster around it because of the things that were disliked about it. But if you were to say, do the Venn diagram or the pie chart or whatever, however you want to represent it, of the problems it solved and the things that have made using modern Linux easier versus the things that are disliked about it or the problems it brought about, the positive side would be much larger than the negative. And I think that's ultimately why it won and why it continues to be the standard. And as far as I can see, I don't know that it's ever going to change.
I mean, something new could come along. Pulse audio is replaced by Pipewire. If there's a better, if a thing does a thing better than another thing, that's the beauty of open source is it does get replaced. It's also the drawback. But so
I mean, I guess
01 brought up OpenRC. Was it OpenRC? That's another one. He says I did like.
Yeah,
I did like,
actually, Nate, that is right. And I should tell you that is actually the default on Artix, which is an Arch derivative, as well as Gen 2, actually. Now, Gen 2 does have a System D option, but it's not the one that they suggest because it is in their documentation. Don't get me wrong, but it's not the default on there, and I don't know that it's ever gonna be. But I'm more of a stickler for OpenRC and etc. That's just me.
Yeah, it's interesting. So OpenRC is kind of a looks like it sits in the middle between Runit and systemd. So it uses.
It's kind of the middleman of the init systems.
That's interesting. Yeah, I'd have to read more on this to understand it better.
And this guy Zekma, he's been working on actually. This is funny. He's working on an OpenRC version of Linux from scratch, actually. But it hasn't seen any development since June of this year. So, yeah, I don't know if or when this is going to get an update, but heck, it's still running the kernel 7.12? Jeez. That's kind of old.
It looks like some of the it says less powerful than systemd in advanced features like socket activation, deep security sandboxing, timers, etc. So that to me is also interesting. I don't know what that. Honestly, I don't know what a lot of that means. What does it have to do with? But I know what socket activation. I mean, I guess I kind of know what socket activation is, but I don't know what it is in this context.
Sorry.
I remember back when Alpine Linux was gaining a lot of traction and still is because of its lack of systemd and all that. So.
Yeah.
So it looks like Gen 2, Alpine, Artix, Dev1, Postmarket OS, and various BSD systems use this. So it improves the classic sysv init by adding proper dependency management, but deliberately avoiding the large scope complexity of systemd. Okay.
I do find Alpine a lot of Docker containers. So I guess that's where it shines.
Yeah. Well, interesting for sure. As far as back to Odyssey Linux, was there anything that, for those that ran it, was there anything that stood out to you as being very interesting, or maybe polarizing even? Jinda, you got to say something.
Well, it was just a basic OS. I had to put the clock up, which I thought was kind of weird. There was no clock. There's a few random settings in it that I thought were set kind of odd. When I went to go install ZRAM, you can't. It isn't there. So I gave up, and I'll format my laptop and take it off.
Okay.
I kind of want ZRAM.
You like to download additional RAM?
Yeah. It speeds up an old crappy computer a little bit.
Oh, okay. Helps the potato be less potatoey.
Yeah. It turns it into maybe a French fry.
Oh.
Sure, and still in the potato family, but better.
Right. Makes it hot and crispy.
Yeah. Right.
A little salt on it, and it's glorious.
Right. It's a good operating system though. If I had a better computer, it would be amazing. But I don't. I just put it on the world's worst laptop.
Gotcha. What is that laptop, if I may ask?
Speaking of we'll find out. Yeah, I'll pile of junk. It's a Dell with 2 gigs of RAM from it's an Inspiron 14 from 10 years ago.
Okay.
I got it for free. Nobody would want it. No one would take it. But it's fun to beat on because I don't care about it.
Right. Those are the fun laptops, I think.
Yeah, it's something that works just well enough to put an OS on and go, hey, if it runs in this, it'll run in anything.
Yeah. Cool. Is anybody here going to continue to run it? I guess. Run it.
Yeah.
I made a joke there, sort of unintentional. Yeah.
I'll probably keep it in the virtual machine that I got just to play with the different world that it has. I mean, the interesting parts of it, the unique things is the init system it has, and the package manager just as a window into Void for me.
Mm-hmm. I think it'd be nice to. I wonder if we can tweak the permissions on it, because it would be nice if, for doing the updates and the whole process, to not have to put your password in there. That would be nice, but that'd probably be the only tweak I'd make in that. As far as usability is, I thought it was fine, and I think that the part that I really like the most is probably that the Odyssey Control Center. I really appreciated. I really appreciated that very much. I like the Odyssey Welcome as well, and a very quick and easy way to go into vanilla mode. Also interesting to have a bug report code. I didn't report any bugs, but I thought it was interesting. Oh, so Pilktron says ZRAM is easily enabled in the Odyssey Control Center. Memory and swap section. You mean to say the control center did not work? Let's see. I know I didn't check. I didn't think to download more RAM. Odyssey Control Center here. Memory and swap. Oh, they have a button to enable ZRAM. Jinda.
What?
They got a button to enable ZRAM. If you go in the Odyssey Control Center or Memory and Swap.
Okay. You didn't have to install it. It was already installed.
So
I don't have to try it.
So it's a sizes percentage. Wow, that's interesting. You can also adjust your swappiness.
Yeah,
and
that's cool.
Enable ZRAM. I put in my password for that.
I've never used ZRAM myself. I always stuck to the traditional swap base. Called it good enough.
I've never really tried ZRAM. I've used ZRAM, but never ZRAM.
Well, ZRAM is the British alternative to ZRAM.
Right.
Yes.
Or the Canadian version.
It's the Earl Grey tea of ZRAM.
His Majesty's swap space.
Yes.
So if you're running an NVMe drive, though, do you really even need that?
I wouldn't say so. No.
I think
And
so.
plus the fact, I may have 16 gigs of RAM in this laptop, but it has 10 cores with hyper-threading disabled, and with hyper-threading on, it has 20. So I don't even need freaking swap or ZRAM on this darn thing. I don't
I'm gonna
think.
go on a little bit of a PSA and say if you think you don't need swap, you're wrong. You need swap.
Why do you say that, Adam?
Things will expect swap. Many pieces of software expect it.
Mhm.
And it
Yeah.
will malfunction and it will give you bugs and issues if you don't have it. ZRAM just
You read a
allows you
lot.
to not have to make a dedicated swap partition for those few things that actually do need swap. Well, not few, many
Really?
things that need swap.
Oh.
You don't need a lot. You don't need like
The more
gigs and
you
gigs
know.
and gigs of it, but you do need some.
Wait.
Yeah.
So ZRAM.
So hold on
functions like
a
swap?
hold on a second. Really?
Yeah, you don't necessarily need a swap partition. It's think of it as like a page file on Windows, right?
Okay. Mhm.
Yeah.
That's the idea. And so
Yes.
having that, even just having that sort of on disk page file of sorts is important because some software will misbehave if you don't have a swap. And so if you don't want to carve out a dedicated part of your disk specifically for swap, you can use something like file-based ZRAM to avoid having that problem.
You just do
Thank you
swap
for
file
coming
too
to my
if you want.
TEDx talk.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still do swap files just because it's something I do. I mean, ZRAM's easier just because you don't have to go through that. But, I haven't had a swap partition in years, but I do have just a swap file, which is a chunk on your, whatever your
Right.
disk is.
I mean, with
And-
modern disk drives, I can't even see why you would need that.
Well, like he said, Mike, he's right. I actually just remembered this. Certain, programs or
No,
dependencies.
I understand that. What I'm saying is, or what I'm asking is, what advantage does a ZRAM give you over a disk
Yeah.
partition or a file on an NVMe drive?
Speed.
Dynamic size is a big thing. So like if you have a page file or a ZRAM page file, then you
Mhm.
don't have to have that allocated space for swap. So for example, in a laptop, if you're doing Hibernate, you can hibernate to the page file, right? And so you don't have to allocate, let's say you have 16 gig of RAM, you don't have to allocate like 20 gig of swap space just for the off chance that you hibernate. It'll only use that when you actually need it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it can dynamically go up and down as well. And so it's more, I mean, if you have like 4 terabytes of space and you're really not that concerned, totally get that. It's just it's a much more flexible system in that way.
Right.
Okay.
It also allows for
And,
easier swap compression as well.
Right. And to Adam's comment there, I do actually sometimes when I go to bed, not all the time, but sometimes, or when I'm out and about, which is rare, sometimes I do shut the screen on my computer and let it go to sleep. So there are times that, for that reason, that a swap or ZRAM thing would benefit me, right, Adam?
And there are definitely some caveats as well, some edge cases where a disk-based swap will be like a partition-based swap will be more stable, I suppose. Potential, especially if you're talking about like concurrency and things. But it's also, if you have an encrypted disk, you don't have to necessarily encrypt the swap because it's a file on the encrypted file system. So like that's another example of why you'd want to do a page file versus a specific swapped partition.
Yeah.
There's still one use case for a swap partition. If you're a multi-booter, the duplicity of multiple swap files is such that you easily will suck up a lot of disk space. But when I install on an SSD, I typically set the swap file to like 200 megabytes. just enough for it to be able to touch it and tickle it and do its
That's
thing,
about
but
it. Yeah.
not to be a black hole of disk space. For Hibernate, you kind of sucks where you're stuck with the RAM size to be able to
Yeah.
have a swap area. But the thing with ZRAM and ZSwap, they're two different things. ZRAM first is a block device. It can be used in substitution of a swap partition. But what it gives you is an advantage on an older system where you're using a mechanical hard drive still. You're using you could then use the mechanical hard drive as your backup to backing the swap with ZSwap, and have your home drive on the mechanical drive and use your fast SSD for your OS. They're both kernel managed, by the way. When you look at swap on the output of that and you see minus numbers as priorities, that's indicating that the kernel is managing it, not the user. But you can update there's a configuration file you can edit. You can change how much swap is used, the priority level, and so on. ZRAM tools are probably in most package managers now. Been there for tens of years.
Yeah. I mean, if I do whenever I get Linux on this computer, which is hopefully going to be after the show with my Storm OS, hopefully, fingers crossed, it doesn't lag out or what have you. But we'll see. We'll figure it out.
The spectacular thing is that you could still just use a partition. It's still just fine.
Yeah, it still works.
It's just a new way of doing things.
At all. Yeah, but my biggest thing is, with regardless what Linux OS I put on this thing, I just haven't figured out how much RAM size I'm going to put on the swap. I'm just sort of scratching my head till it bleeds trying to figure that out. Because, like
You'll know when you do it wrong.
What?
You'll know when you've chosen wrong.
Right, because what I've always done is, whether it's Calamares or another installer, Adam, I just put, a swap file in, call it good enough. And what happens is with Calamares, for example, is it just, with the swap file, it devotes all my RAM to it. I'm like, what the heck is this? This doesn't seem right.
So, Adam,
I just rewrote that.
Let me ask you something, Adam. So you basically have three choices here. You have a swap partition, you can have a swap file, or you can use RAM, right, for your temporary swap space. What are is the only reason for a partition other than, multi-user, multi-OS would be stability as opposed to the other two?
Yeah, so like an example of why you would want to have partition would be if you want to make sure that, say, log spam doesn't prevent you from having swap space.
Right.
Gotcha. It's kind of the reason we fence off var log, or you fence off opt, or any other type of partitioning scheme you would want, instead of just a monolithic root, right? It's the same idea.
Right.
If you'd want to have a swap space that you can guarantee that this space is not going to be in contention with anything else, that would be a pretty compelling reason to have a swap partition.
Okay, gotcha. And the swap file, it's pretty much like the swap RAM, except it's on disk.
You just think it's like mounting a VHD or something like that,
right?
Like that kind of thing, right?
And the difference being too that it's predetermined and sort of permanent in the sense that you've created it, you're mounting it, so or turning it on,
Right.
And so.
But if it's a file, you can always recreate it at a smaller amount if you want, or a bigger amount if you feel the need to.
That's the advantage of ZRAM, is that you're at least having that sort of variability and
right.
It doesn't have to take up so much room. Yeah.
The ZRAM device also has built-in compression and stuff, so the things that end up in your ZRAM swap and ZSwap end up compressed. So you can potentially have more things in there than the size indicates, right? So there are advantages to that, and that's not to say you can't have compression on a swap partition as well. It's just not nearly as elegant or easy.
Right, I got you.
Yep, and it also just makes it easier. I mean, how much easier is it just to throw one big root partition than it is to carve up a disk. And so if you're a distro maintainer and you're just like, man, I could just give them a big monolithic thing in a swap file, then that's easier, because then you don't have to think, oh, like, how do I partition this based on the amount of memory in the machine and all that. It's just, we'll figure that out later with the swap file.
That's why I ended up, yes, for me, swap file was attractive because I would either forget or underestimate or just, and then your partitions are already all laid out, your system's installed, and it's like, well, I could I could shrink a partition and, go through all that nonsense or just create a file. So that's, files are just easy and they're a little more permanent than ZRAM, but it doesn't matter. They all kind of do the same thing.
Something I don't have any experience with is setting up a swap partition with ButterFS, or has anyone here done that? I don't know if it's any different.
I think I did. Yeah,
dealt with it.
I did it. I did it with a not a partition. I did it with a file.
Right.
But I will say, I have tried other partition types like Lux and LVM and ZFS and ButterFS and all these sorts of things. I stick to ext4, leave it alone, because for me it's just like, yes, there are other options, but not changing my file system just because someone else uses it. No reason to.
I use.
I will stand LVM for sure, but I do use ButterFS these days.
Yeah.
I will say so I have a swap partition, but it's totally separate, and it's only, I can't hibernate to it because I have 64 gig of RAM on this, and it's only a 2 gigabyte partition. So I just have it there just in case something needs to, do whatever with it. But I never actually, my memory pressure is always very low. Like very rarely do I push it, only like when I have VMs running or something like that. So I don't even, but like, I don't want to have 64 gigabytes of storage just like blocked off. You know what I mean? Like, to me, it seems very foolish. So
with ButterFS, you have to have the swap as a separate partition. The swap cannot be a file inside root. Otherwise, the snapshot will fail. It won't run.
So can you put the swap file on a separate subvolume and just exclude that from the snapshot?
ButterFS supports both a file and a partition as long as they're not under the root.
Yeah.
Right.
I had mine on a data, just like a user data, but the thing I had failed to take into account when I created it was I was using, like as if it was an ext4 or something, and like I realized, why isn't this working? So I had taken the commands, but it hadn't functioned properly, and then I thought, wait a minute, okay, it's ButterFS, and so there's this different set of commands that you have to do to activate it properly.
Linux is fun.
It is. I like the. I mean, where else in the technology world do people like get into discussions about Z swap files versus partitions, and the
I'm always
conflicts they
bringing
can
that up.
have
I'm
with
hit
file-
at parties.
Yeah. It's good times.
Yeah, so for ButterFS, you have to do, it's, you do a truncate, you create it, you do the fallocate, you change the permissions, make swap on, but you have to do that truncate and CHATTR command.
I pronounce it chatter.
Do that. Yeah, you got to do the truncate and shatter first, then do the fallocate, and then the chmod, make swap on. So I hadn't done those first few parts, and it wouldn't activate, and I didn't know why. And then I remembered, it's because it's swap or ButterFS, and so that's when I read up, and it was like, oh no, you have to do these other parts first. So there you go. That's why I have Joplin to take notes, so that I remember that. That's it. Oh, and Nate, I think the reason you like the control center is because it is kind of like a simplified YAST in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Probably, yeah.
So that kind of makes sense to me. I like those too. I think it's nice to have that in one place because even if, like, to this point, even if I know how to do something, the distro supersedes that in some ways, depending on what it is you're doing. They may have come up with a different approach to something. And so knowing the way that the distro wants you to do something and then giving you that via like a control panel option, it's pretty slick. I like that.
Kind of reminds me of what MX Linux does with some of their tools.
Yep. One of the reasons I really like MX.
MX just recently changed time shift and snapshot and the installer to be a little bit more ButterFS friendly. Now, right now, you don't have to go through as many hoops as Eric described to set up ButterFS on MX. It's all GUI-ish for those that don't geek out on the command line.
If it ain't declared in code, it ain't happening. No, I only treat my work machines like that. My personal stuff is so ad hoc. I'll just look at it some days and I'm like, what's all installed on this? I don't need that.
As long as you can play your games, your Vidya games, as you call them, right?
Yeah, if I can launch a Vidya game, I'm good.
Yeah.
Yeah, all I need is Steam and Emacs, and I'm good.
There's those evenings when I just pull up some Synaptic Package Manager and I'm like, unclick, unclick, unclick. I don't need that. Unclick.
I got more orphans than the Dickens novel. Let's do this.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, one thing I like about it is it'll check the dependencies and remove them if nothing else is using it. So
yeah, you hope so at least.
Yeah, you hope. Yeah.
You hope nothing else is. You hope the package manager remembers.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, I've played with NixOS in the past, like the idea of declaring the whole machine and config, and it was really cool. I just lost my config, and just kind of like I switched over to something else, and I was like, oh yeah, I didn't back up that config. Oopsie. And so I never went back. It's like that's a lot of work. I don't want to do that again. Maybe AI can help me. I don't know.
Probably. Ask ChatGPT or Claude or Grok.
Yeah. If Grok can, I'll ask Grok if it can take a break from taking off clothes of people. And
ooh, well, probably,
golly,
that's important work.
You got to get in a queue after if you don't want that. So.
Yeah, and then there was dancing everywhere, all over the place.
So, I guess that pretty much wraps it up for the for Odyssey Linux. Covering a little bit late.
We went longer on one distro than we have in any amount of.
It was good. It was a pretty good time. You know, it's very different than
a lot different.
It's definitely unique. So it's not a run of the mill. It's definitely doing their own thing, and I think that's interesting, for sure. I don't think it's going to displace my my
Plasma.
somewhat kind of like for OpenSUSE Tumbleweed, but you know the Plasma theme I thought was pretty great. I know not everybody's taste. I got it. Mike not a fan of that, but Mike Schulson I should say. But yeah, I thought it was interesting. So but it was a fun one. I enjoyed that. That was a lot more fun than some of them. So all right, so we'll get on to some housekeeping here real quick. We are very rapidly running out of time, as always, because these things that's just the way things go. Next week, it's an open mic night. The week after that, August 22nd, no Linux Saloon. I will not be available for Linux Saloon. Well, there might be, but we have to work it out, see if Eric can do it.
Eric can take over, yeah.
But we'll see. I won't be there, at least. So if you have any suggestions, go to send any discussion suggestions, distribution, application, or poll ideas. Send me suggestions at linuxsaloon.com, or you can put it in the Telegram or Discord groups, and feel free to join those as well and chat throughout the week. We also have a Linux Saloon calendar. You can look at all the upcoming Linux Saloon shows, and those things, I do update that when information changes, so you can keep that. If you like Google Calendars, if you don't like Google Calendars, just look at it on the website.
Yeah.
linuxsaloon.com or keepinglate.com/linuxsaloon. I'll have the show notes published after the fact. We're going to go to our last call.
Last call, baby.
Last call for Saloonin, I guess. for the week. So Ben,
What?
you've got like some noisy fan sounds going on over there.
Oh, geez. Sorry, guys. It's this laptop. It's a gaming machine. You know, my apologies. I have to look at my Discord settings again to figure it out. Sorry.
No worries.
Sounds like you need to get the vacuum cleaner to it.
Yeah, maybe it's
I'll take a
suffocating.
look at it after the show. Sorry about that.
A
No worries.
Snuggie is not a laptop case.
It could be.
Do what, Adam?
Time passed. Keep going.
All right. Other Ben, how you doing?
I'm good. Just chilling, listening. I guess yeah, during the week I started watching like I've been kind of interested in learning about like the Red Hat side of things. So I've been playing with Alma Linux and Rocky Linux and CentOS, and free developers account for Red Hat. So like and I've been like following along their live streams just to glean whatever information I can get from it. Just been kind of fascinated with it lately.
That's always fun. Anything new on your channel?
Well, I've been kind of live streaming my adventures, breaking stuff with it, and
Okay.
yeah,
Well, good deal.
Yeah.
Make it fun.
absolutely.
Thanks.
Having fun
Thanks for
learning about Proxmox and all that too.
Oh, good. haven't played with that. Dale.
So my big announcement from last Saturday is that starting tomorrow, I'll be doing every Sunday this week in OpenSUSE for as long as I can stand it.
Awesome. Well, if you ever need a guest,
I've got a couple of OpenSUSE folks helping me out with it if needed.
that's awesome. I can't provide anything of any real value other than I just use it and throw it in everything.
You can be my cheerleader.
Ooh, I can be, but I'm not. I'm
Yeah.
not wearing that dress thing anymore. No skirts.
Darn it.
Just don't have the legs for that. Well, I'm excited. So
There's some
tomorrow's the first
things
one?
that you can't forget, and that's one of them. Okay, please
right.
don't ever say that again.
No problem. So is that tomorrow? Is that the first one?
Yes.
Okay, sweet. Eric, glad you could be here.
Thank you. Glad to be here. This is lucky number 2 today.
Yeah.
I was on time for this one, mostly. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you were. I think so. And Discord didn't give you any problems?
In the browser.
Oh.
Worked perfectly. The desktop client is my problem.
I see.
There you go.
Okay.
So lesson learned. It even seems like it uses less system resources for in the desktop one, and I don't know if it's like hardware acceleration maybe or what it is, but it tends to spin up the fans quite a bit whenever I'm in the full screen like I am right now. And in the browser at least, it seems to behave better. So win-win.
I'm using the client. I don't think we'll have any problems with it, but who knows? Maybe I'm holding it wrong.
Oh, you're holding it right, and I'm holding it wrong. So
That could be.
Anyway, that's all I got.
Cool. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
Full scale for me, Mike.
I already went over with the URL that I put in the chat, the result of my rewriting, taking two articles, mushing them into one, and then had it proofread by one of our forum participants. So it's can you say it's a three-way creation? Posthumously, Jerry 3904 wrote the original bones, and then I added to it, and my proofreader found the one thing I missed. So that's what I did this week.
Yeah, that will be in the show notes today as an additional, because you did share that. I thought it was interesting. It falls in line with the whole Z swap discussion that we had. So that was pretty cool. Good deal. Thanks for being here. Jinda, now that your Z
Yes,
swap
Nate.
figured out on Odyssey Linux, can you give it
I
another
tried
try?
to figure it out. I couldn't get it to work.
You just have
It's
to click
got
on it.
XFCE in it, and I tried getting it to do it, and I couldn't do it.
Did you click on the memory swap thing in the Odyssey Control Center?
Yeah, I tried. I'm going to try again.
All right. I mean, it's your
But
testing laptop.
I didn't
anyway,
want to
so-
spend all the show doing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, why not? Well, thanks for being here.
I'll try again. Oh, thank you for having me.
One of these days, we got to get you to do the Hot Wheels car of the week. I know I'm going to try. I'm going to keep bringing that up until you either agree or get angry and rage quit.
Oh God, there's too many back there. Don't worry.
Yeah,
That's
so
such
we
a
got-
good idea, Nate. You should really follow up on that.
Yeah, every week we're gonna do that. We're gonna follow up on it.
Yeah, just force them to talk.
Right. Kind of like Jill does her show and tell of some old thing on Destination Linux. We can have Jinda do his Hot Wheels show and tell.
Yep.
Good deal. Adam, glad you can make it and set us all straight on the narrow path.
It's not my intention. I just came to hang out.
Oh. Well,
Yeah. Is what it is, man.
good job nonetheless.
Broken clock is right twice a day.
Unless it's the digital clock, and then it's, off.
Perpetually midnight. Yeah.
It's midnight. Yeah. Anyway, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course.
And Mike, appreciate you being here.
Man, it's always a pleasure to be here because there's so many cool people that hang out here.
Especially Adam.
That's what I was going to say. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to, embarrass him and put him in the spotlight. But yeah, it's Adam. I kind of got a little bit of a man crush on him.
You can't actually.
Yeah,
embarrass him.
spotlight, heat lamp. What's the difference?
Just a little. Just a little.
It's the tint.
Yeah.
All right. So I have I'm on a podcast called Linux Out Loud. You can check that out. Also have a website called keepinglate.com. I've already plugged it several times, but the show notes will be on there following the show. So thank you all for your support and how we do it, being a part of the conversation, both the Discord voice chat and the YouTube stream, as well as for everyone who watched the show after the fact. I think everyone involved making Linux and open source tools possible for us to not only have this conversation, but also to have fun and enjoy our technology. Linux truly puts personal back in a personal computer. Thank you for stopping by. Be sure to tip your developers, and please remember to Linux responsibly. Until next time, see yous.